to put so much power in a book that is thousands of years old, that was used to control people and actually harm people, you have to ask, who's it benefiting?
For generations, women were shamed for trusting themselves, sensing things before they happen, and believing in their own power. No one encouraged them to embrace it until now. Welcome to Trust Yourself.
Hi, I'm Elise, but my sister calls me Sissy.
And I'm her sister, Heidi.
All right, Heidi, today's conversation may feel extremely challenging, and I think that's okay. So I want to invite you as a listener to come into this space with an open heart, because some of what you hear, you may resonate deeply with it, but some of it may be really uncomfortable, some of it may be triggering, and some of it may even push against everything you've been taught to believe in. Just know that all is welcome here, and we're trying to make this a very safe space. But you know this is a heavy topic when I have to start with this disclaimer. So today we are talking about deconstructing Christianity and how this tradition, whether you identify as Christian or not, continues to shape our lives, our spirituality, and even our nation, our world, really, our world.
Yeah.
It's just not just America, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And before we dive in, I want to share a quick note about language. When I use the word God, I am not talking about a ruler on a throne, a king with a gender, or a distant overseer keeping score. To me, God is universal. God is love. God is compassion, creation itself. God is the spirit that guides us and sparks life within us, and it lives within us. So to me, God is expansive, not exclusive. So I know this word can be triggering to some people, and I want you to know that when I say it, if I say it, I'm not sure I say it much, but if I say it, feel free to just replace it with the word love instead.
For me, like I don't even use the word God or really anything. I just kind of think of it as just universe, source, light, love. Like it could be, it's just a label.
It is just a label. Part of the reason why today's conversation matters so much is because Christianity is one of the most dominant faith traditions in the United States. And while I have recently found it difficult to still consider myself a Christian, I also believe that true faith invites us to ask questions. And questioning doesn't mean turning our back on God. It means expanding the way we experience God. It means seeking context, exploring history, and allowing our understanding to grow. Today's amazing guest, Crystal Dawn, is a leader in the feminine empowerment movement who is also deconstructing and reclaiming spiritual sovereignty. She's got a pretty freaking important role right now.
Yes.
And to Crystal, Heidi, and myself, this conversation is deeply personal. We were all raised as pastors' kids, immersed in church life, carrying the same doctrines as over 60% of Americans. And yet, each of us reached a point where we started to ask questions like, why is this considered the one true religion? And who benefits from this narrative? Why do I feel so guilty? And what happens when unconditional love no longer feels like the foundation to my religion? Although, Heidi, you probably weren't asking those questions.
No, I was actually trying to figure out which one of those questions I was asking myself. I'm like, none. Sorry. I felt like my whole notion of being a pastor's kid was more of just like, I have to be here.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it was also just like, this is my social hour. I get to hang out with my friends. So
True.
I enjoyed Wednesday nights and, being with my friends, and it was all social for me. I could not tell you any Bible verse besides John 3:16. That's the only one that's burned into my brain.
Yes. Well, what we've discovered, what Crystal and I at least have discovered through that questioning, is that the most sacred path is the one that leads us back to our own sovereignty. A faith rooted not in fear, shame, or control, but in the boundless divine love already alive within us. By expanding our understanding, we don't distance ourselves from the divine, we draw closer, cultivating more compassion for ourselves and for others. So this is a really long-winded way to say that as you listen today, we simply ask that you hold space not to agree or disagree, but to just witness and explore and consider that questioning can be an act of love in itself. So let's welcome Crystal Dawn. Welcome, Crystal. We are so glad that you are here. We have so much to talk about. And we have so much in common. All three of us are pastors' kids,
Yes.
which we don't get a lot of us in the one room at one time. So this will be fun.
We're too powerful altogether.
Yes. We're going to break the internet today.
Yes.
But also the fact that what we're talking about today is pretty touchy. It can be heavy and
It can be a sensitive topic because so many attach their identity to their belief systems. And so when you're talking about really sensitive subjects like this, it can feel like a personal attack. So finding ways to speak that is respectful, but at the same time liberating has been something that's always been like a goal of mine, to put that front and center in everything that I share.
I love that so much. And I am so excited when I see women that voice their thoughts like this, that they voice their questions, because that is so hard to do. It's so hard for anyone to do, but let alone a woman in this society, especially when we're talking about religion and Christianity and spirituality. So, man, I give you props, Crystal. This is...
Everybody give it up for Crystal!
I like you. I like you. Oh, it wasn't easy and still isn't.
No. If you don't know Crystal, go follow her on Instagram and TikTok. She talks all about deconstructing and reclaiming spiritual sovereignty. And today specifically, we're talking about deconstructing Christianity through the Bible and things that we have grown up with as pastors' kids. So things we also didn't question. You just kind of accepted as fact. So I'm excited and nervous to get into this. But more excited.
Yes, me too.
So I'm just going to start off with a very personal question, Crystal, but because you've been so open about your faith and your beliefs, do you personally still believe in God or a higher power?
Yeah, it's hard to explain because I didn't even recognize that I was deconstructing until just like the last year or so. I'm like, holy shit, that's what I've been doing this entire time. Yeah, I love that question because I think for me, it's not so easily explained. After recognizing that I truly don't align so much with the Christianity that we inherited anymore, based on the Bible, I should say. But I do feel like dipping my toes into so many different belief systems, researching, trying to even search for the system or the box that I feel most aligned with. I feel like I've just picked up different things along the way that have resonated with me. And it's essentially just become my own belief system. I don't even know if I can call it a system because it's ever evolving, but essentially to answer your question, I told you I'm long-winded. To answer your question, I don't believe it in the same way or the context that I grew up believing, as there is this man in the sky essentially controlling everything, because it's very fear-based, very narcissistic, very controlling. And that never was something that resonated with that same message that I was also told that was Jesus's story. And I'm like, okay, so love, but fear, but it was so confusing to me. And so breaking down all of that ideology, I came to the knowing that I feel like my soul in general, whatever you want to name it, is connected to something that is smarter, that has more wisdom than my brain can comprehend. And that energy is connected to all things. And so it's like this God, goddess, source, spark that we're all connected to, that we are a little bit, I can't even, it's hard to explain with language because that's the only way we have to communicate in a human body. But it's something that we return to when we pass, but it is still a part of us. It carries wisdom. It's connected to all time, space, everything. But it's hard to explain. I don't still call it God, because when I say the word God, it brings me back to that same image that I was told growing up.
Yep.
So
it's a little triggering.
There's nothing wrong with calling it God, and it's nothing wrong with calling it the creator, source. It's just kind of in my essence.
Yeah.
That's essentially
beautiful.
the best way I can explain it.
What I find fascinating was when you're talking about how you find it hard to describe. We've listened to so many near-death experience stories, and almost all of them talk about when they get to heaven and or the wherever they are, and they feel this love. They all say, I can't describe it. Like, we don't have words to describe it. It's love isn't enough. Like, how do I say that? So it's so cool that you describe it the same way, that it's indescribable.
It's a feeling. It really is. It's a feeling. And I truly believe that connecting to that part inside of you is a true rebellion, because it is going against what the elites, the empires, whatever's been handed down to us, this idea that God is outside of you, that the authority is outside of you. When you return that authority within yourself, you're taking your power back, and you're in control of your life in that moment. So it's something that when you can slow down and allow yourself to connect to that part of you, you do get to feel it. You do feel it.
I feel it. I feel the tingles.
The chills.
I feel the love.
So as pastors' kids, I mean, we all know there's some tension there. And I'll just share my story real quick of when I first felt that tension between, what I'm taught and what my heart is saying. I remember so vividly, I had friends at school that were really good friends of mine, and they were gay. And we also lived in the South, and people said some things that were not kind at all. This was also in the 90s. So, it was even worse than
anything goes in the 90s.
I mean, I don't know if it was worse. It's still bad today. It's still bad today. But back then it was so bad. And I remember going to my dad and I was saying, like, well, I don't understand. Why do Christians say that you can't be gay? Why does God not love gay people? I thought God loves everyone. And when he spoke to me about it, sorry, Dad, if you're listening, I might butcher your story, but basically what he broke it down to was, Elise, you need to look at it in context. And yes, the Bible may seem like it says that. It may seem really bad, but we're looking at it in 1990. You need to look at it back when it was actually written. And he described how at that time there were bathhouses. And in these bathhouses, women were not allowed to go into those bathhouses, but it was usually men and young boys that were also acting as servants or cleaning. And these men would take advantage of the boys. So yes, I believe the Bible says pedophilia is bad, but that wasn't in reference to being gay. Somewhere along the line, it got mistranslated from pedophilia being a sin to homosexual being a sin. Yeah, that's dangerous. So I'm just curious, Crystal, when was your moment? Did you have a moment where you first realized that there was just this tension between what your heart was saying versus what Christianity was telling you?
Yeah, this is such a good question. I feel like there's been so many of those like little tiny moments that kind of piece together, and like you feel that question coming up, but like that doesn't sound like what you told me. There's so much contradiction that happens in the teachings. And so especially when you're raised in it, you're born into it. And so you're born learning something, and your brain isn't even developed, and it's getting programmed with these things, but you still have a seat of truth. That soul inside of you still is connected to the ultimate truth. And so it's when you allow that to be your inner voice, but yet sometimes we're not taught how to even do that. But there are those little moments that have happened, and a lot of them did actually have to do with the questioning of hearing things like, if babies die before they're baptized, they go to hell. And then I'm like, but I thought it was an all-loving God. Like, why would God let that happen? I don't understand. And then I would think about people on the other side of the world, because we're told that missionaries need to go mission about God's word because they haven't heard it yet. I'm like, so there are thousands of people dying every day and they're going to hell because they just haven't met us yet. Like it was so confusing to me. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Something is not computing, because you're telling me that Jesus is love and Jesus died for our sins so that we're all saved and we don't have to go to hell, but only if we actually know of Jesus. What about the people that don't know of Jesus? And there are so many things. My critical thinking, even though I overrode it all the time, it was still there. It still popped up. The questions still popped up, but I never asked them out loud. I never really did until I got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to search for myself and figure it out myself, because I feel like I can safely do that. But honestly, I think the biggest kind of peeling apart and eye-opening moments were when I started to go to public school, and that was, all the way in 6th grade. I went to private Christian school, and then I was homeschooled and in private Christian homeschooling groups. So I was in a Christian bubble until 6th grade. And I was so excited to go to public school because I had I'm like, I want to see the world, even though it was still so whitewashed. The world, it's so big. And I met all these different people that don't go to church, and some of them being my best friends and not going to church. I'm like, but you're going to hell? This doesn't make sense to me. So a lot of it was the hell aspect, truly. The biggest peeling away of when I realized, I don't think I resonate with this belief system anymore. I don't even think I can call myself a Christian, was when I had my, I would say, big T trauma experience happen when I was in high school. And I'm sure you all have been through the 90s purity culture whole thing where you promised that you weren't going to have sex until you were married.
Oh, yes.
That was a badge of honor that I always carried around. I wore my purity ring, and I signed a contract to God that I wasn't going to have sex until I was married. And then when I did, and my parents found out about it, I was forced to tell my brother.
Shame you.
Yeah, he thought it was the end of the world. He's like, you ruined my life.
And then
I know, it was terrible. And then my parents told my grandparents and my cousins and my aunts and uncles and the church, because they needed prayers.
Oh,
holy shit.
God.
They didn't know how to handle it. They thought, they're like, we need support. I'm like, you need support. What?
That's so traumatizing.
It really was. The amount of shame that I carried was so much that I ended up going into a pretty deep depression.
Yeah.
And so at 16, my mom, I'm so grateful that they put me in therapy that was not religious therapy. I don't know why that happened. I think it was divine intervention, but somehow they found a counselor that I could meet with. And he was the first one to ever give me a voice, because he told me that what they did, telling everybody, was wrong. And I was like, you mean that adults make mistakes? That's
a huge
16.
shift.
At 16, it was this realization that, you mean they don't always know better than me? And he gave me that permission to finally go to my parents and say, what you did was wrong and it hurt me.
Wow.
And that gave me part of my power back, and it gave me a voice to know. And my parents, they were amazing. They felt so awful. They're like, we're so sorry. We're doing our best. We didn't know how to handle it. And the way that we handled it was wrong.
They didn't know. That's what they knew.
That's exactly. That's what they knew. That's what they were told. And so, that big moment, that big shift in my life, I think that even though it was really hard, it taught me a lot. And it really was the beginning of me kind of separating. I almost feel like it's Velcro, you're peeling yourself away from all of those threads. And that was the beginning of me feeling I don't know if I can even call myself a Christian, because what Christian, based on what I believed a Christian was, love and loving people and accepting people for who they are and not judging them and shaming them.
Yeah.
I don't think I can fall in line with that anymore. And so that kind of was the beginning. I kept going to church, and I still prayed, well into my adult life. But my prayer has definitely changed dramatically. But yeah, that's my long-winded explanation.
That's a milestone in your life that's forever tainted in a horrible way. And I know, Heidi, I think you kind of had a little bit of a similar situation, but it was just mom telling her friend, not mom outing you to the entire family and making you feel shameful for it.
Right.
Oof.
Well, that wasn't even about having sex. That was about a piercing that I got.
Oh, that's right. Oh, how dare you?
Oh my God, my daughter, can you believe what she got?
I know. And honestly, Mom should have never even known, but because I was in the hospital, I had a blood clot, and she was in there when they were putting that Foley catheter in.
That's right. That's how she found out. Poor mom.
Yeah, that was probably the most embarrassing moment of my life that I forgot about. Thanks, sis. Love that.
Sorry.
That's hilarious.
I mean, the idea was she would never have known, right? Like,
Right. Typically, moms aren't going to look at that part of us.
No,
At that age.
I mean, I was like 19, so I'm like, you're not going to look down there, Mom. Like,
Oh my God.
The things that we do to rebel, like seriously. There's so many things that I've done to try to prove myself like as not the typical pastor's daughter, because after that I got so angry. I'm like, you know what? I am not who you think I am. I'm just going to be whatever the fuck I want to be. And
I think that was my whole,
got me in trouble.
life.
Yeah. Yeah, that was your whole life, Heidi.
That was ever since I was like 13. I was like, well,
yeah, fuck this box. Oh, funny.
All right, before I forget, I want to take a step back because I just remembered, Crystal, you had a post recently about this. When I was talking about the mistranslation from pedophilia to homosexual, this translation actually happened recently, right? In your post, you mentioned a date. When was that again?
Yeah, 1946.
1946.
Yeah. It's, the word that was mistranslated, it was actually essentially meant to mean pedophilia, and they changed it. They mistranslated it to be homosexual. And then, it went, 1946, 1900s. That was put in. And that doesn't mean that's when homophobia started, but that's when the church was like, no, we're taking control over this. We are marginalizing this group of people, and we're going to benefit from it, because it seems like a lot of the changes in the Bible, the mistranslations, are always done by somebody in power that wants to change it to a specific narrative to benefit them. And a lot of benefiting them means putting the blame for certain things going on under their rule onto somebody else, onto a marginalized group. A lot of the times it's women. A lot of the times it's anybody that is not, unfortunately, like a white man. And I don't say that to say that all white men are bad. I would never. I have 2 sons, and I don't want them to hear that narrative all the time. But unfortunately, we have to look throughout history and see like what has actually happened.
So true. I actually recently had something happen like that with my son. We were at a roller skating rink, and this boy said something to my daughters, like, girls can't do rollerblades, just roller skates. Why are you on rollerblades? And my daughters are like 8 and 9, and like, well, we can. And I was trying to explain to them, I was trying to explain in a very dumbed down way patriarchy, and it didn't go very well.
It's hard.
And Frankie, my son, poor guy, he's like 6 years old, and he's like, well, am I bad? I'm like, oh my God, no, I ruined it.
I know. No, I've actually thought about this so many times, because having 2 sons, but also being very passionate about being a voice for women empowerment, and to speak on that which has suppressed us for so long, thousands of years. It's hard to avoid that narrative of pointing blame at men. But at the same time, I want to stay so conscious about it, because I heard women are the problem. Girls are the problem. Your bodies are the problem. You're the temptation. Make sure you're covering yourself, because you cause issues just by simply being in the body that you are. And I don't ever want them to hear that same kind of narrative just flipped, reverted. And so essentially, I think what I came down to, I don't know if this is correct. I would never claim to be a perfect parent, but keeping boys when they're younger, deeply connected to their emotions is going to help that, because the problem isn't that they are men. That's not the issue. It's not because they are men. It's because they are born into a system that is designed to separate men from their hearts and their emotions. Yes. And they're put into also a box of what they feel that they're supposed to live up to in society. And it's damaging as well. So they also walk through their own issues. And so it's just keeping us all connected to our hearts, connecting to each other. Because when we're separated and we're all fighting each other, the left versus the right, black versus white, men versus women, when we're fighting each other, we are distracted from the real problem because it's not a left versus right problem. It's a top and bottom problem. Yeah. And the top is such a small minority. It's like a fraction of how many of us are actually at the quote unquote bottom, but there's millions to one of us. And if we actually were to band together and stop fighting each other and claiming that each other are the issue, then they're going to get scared. And I think that's really what's happening right now in social media.
I just got body chills. I'm so excited for
it's what's happening. You see it in all of the people standing up and saying and fighting against what's happening in Gaza right now and what's happening. Like people actually sharing the information that's out there and speaking out against all of this horrible hate that's going on and actually pointing the finger in the right direction. And they're scared and they're getting really messy, but they're also getting to the point where they're getting so messy that they are kind of trying to prove that they don't have to live by the same rules that we do. And it's, first of all, disgusting and really irritating. But you have to look at it in the sense of, ooh, they're getting scared. They're getting scared. They're getting louder and they're getting more, they're grasping at straws, essentially, because they know that the more of us that wake up and stop following the narrative that they're trying to get us to follow, they're going to fall because we have more numbers.
Girl, this is touching on all my pain points right now, and I'm so pumped up.
I agree. Grab the picket fence. Let's go, guys. I got some torches.
Yes. I know. I'm like, where's my sign? Let's go walk through the streets chanting with our megaphones. Seriously.
Feels so good.
It's true though. I love that even that visual of left, it's not left versus right anymore. It's up versus top versus bottom. That's fucking so brilliant. It's so true. Wow. All right. My mind's blown.
I hate bringing it back when we're on a great topic, but
I know.
I've just got so many questions. Okay. So Crystal, in the Bible, there are many instances where you can see examples of fear-based faith, like going to church and tithe, or else repent, or else obey, or else. And like you mentioned, sin is a default setting. So kids are going to go to hell unless they get baptized, and because you're just born bad. So growing up, I also did not resonate with the idea of hell, the idea of original sin, or an angry God that wants me to submit to my husband, or I could be stoned and that's okay.
I know, right?
So do you have any historical context of where this fear-based theology comes from, or do you think it was divinely intended?
Definitely not divinely intended.
Yes. Thank you. I mean, I wasn't sure I wanted to end the sentence that way, but because it is still a common belief. I mean, I used to think that.
I know. And that's honestly, I did too, because you're not told. I think growing up, I always believed the whole context of Old Testament was bad. That was the bad God. But then all the things shifted when Jesus, Yeshua, came to earth. But then they tried to tell us that God is Yeshua, but then he was his son, and all these questions that you're like, wait, what? What's the right story here? Okay. So when you actually go back and you ask the questions, where did this all begin? So Christianity in general was actually a grassroots movement. It goes actually before the whole Roman Empire. All of that was created before the Bible was even pieced together. There was a grassroots movement that was Yeshua, Mary Magdalene. They were spreading this movement of empowerment. In that time, women were very oppressed. They were beat in streets. They were basically treated like animals. They were the lesser sex. And Yeshua did not believe that. He was trying to essentially invite women to the table. A lot of his followers would question it. Even if you read the Nag Hammadi scriptures, the manuscripts that are not in the Bible that were found later, it does show that Yeshua was fighting for the women deserve a seat at the table. They're actually the original prophets. They are the ones that would channel messages even before their time. And so he knew this, and he knew that there was already so much of the state and church, meaning already in his religion, which he was born a Jew. He already knew that there was issues in the temples, that there was coercion happening. And so he was actually he was more rebelling against the system. A lot of what he was spreading was political. He was trying to say, you do not need to follow empire. You do not need to pay taxes. They're doing this because they're profiting from you. They're extorting you. They're telling you that you're not worthy, and they're not allowing women in temples and things like this. He was starting a movement, and this movement had to be underground because it was not safe. Yeah. And ultimately, he was crucified for his teachings because it was against the empire's rule. The empire was extorting people, murdering people, trying to destroy anybody that would essentially stand up against what they were enforcing. So after his crucifixion, it was a few hundred years later. So it was more in like the 2nd century to 4th century AD or Common Era, however you want to talk about it, where the Judaism and Christianity were kind of trying to decide, like, who is going to be the God. And this is when the Council of Nicaea met under Constantine's rule, Emperor Constantine's rule. They met and they decided that it was going to be under one God. So before then, and you were allowed to believe in other gods, there was even a goddess next to the God in Judaism. And so there were multiple gods that were allowed to be followed. There were multiple ideologies, but it was in the Council of Nicaea, the Nicene Creed, that essentially declared that it is a state law, that it is a rule, that you follow the empire's rule, that you believe in one God. And then they made Jesus that God because they knew that the grassroots movement that was underground, the Christians that were getting murdered prior to this being. So Constantine essentially saw the power in it and decided to extort it and make it his decision to be the only religion allowed to be followed. And then they declared that it was under one God. And then he decided what that one God said. And he decided to piece together certain parts of the Bible. And then later, other emperors continued to do the same. And they added things. And you have to remember the time that this was all put together, the state of the world, the fact that the empire was trying to extort the people and also create a common enemy. And that enemy turned into anybody who wasn't Christian. And so they were allowed to hunt and destroy pagans. They were allowed. That was essentially when like religious hate became a real thing embedded in our subconscious, and fear. And because they knew that fear could control people. And then even later, that's when the idea of hell was created as well, because it's actually not in the original Christian canons either. Hell did not exist.
I knew it in my gut.
Yeah, this fear thing is, it's man-made. It's man-made.
I was out late night at the bars and I had these ladies come up to me once trying to convert me. I don't remember what it was too, but I kind of played the silly, well, I'm a pastor's kid, so I got a free pass to heaven. I was being a little sass, but I was also like, don't bother me, I'm drunk.
Just say you're a witch. It usually makes them turn around.
Run away.
Oh, I'm totally doing that next time we have people come to our house.
But they said, well, then you're just going to hell. And I'm like, there is no hell.
Yes. See? Yay. Okay. Good job.
What'd they say to that?
Oh, they handed me their pamphlet and said, come visit us in the morning. Really? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, sure. Let me puke all over your pews.
Sorry.
You're welcome.
Well, you were drinking, so naturally you are a lost soul. So
I was very lost. It was also like 2 a.m. I'm like, what are you ladies doing out here? Is this your mission? Because it's not going to be a fun one.
I hate that narrative. That narrative is so crushing, that belief that you're supposed to save other people's souls. It's terrible. And it's hard to peel away from. I actually found that out myself at like after even a lot of deconstructing, finding myself more into like this in the spiritual spaces, that feeling of I must save people in order to be a good person. That's a deep seated thing that like sometimes runs the show, truly.
But if you realize we're all here on our own journey and we got to figure it out for ourselves, it feels a lot less like a burden on you to help everyone else.
I know. It's so liberating.
I'm wondering if it's also something to do with just like women energy in general, because even with like the work that we do, Sissy, like wanting to help others and help them awaken and on their spiritual journey. And like, even with my husband, I'm like, oh, let me help you with all this stuff. And I'm like, wait, this is his journey. Like I can't help it. I mean, I can show him things, but it's, you can't do the work for them. Yeah. And that's like what I feel like is hard sometimes. Cause I'm like,
so hard.
I know what you need to do. You should just do it.
Yep.
But the whole difference is we know it's not just one way. Like it's definitely everybody has their own journey. And so when you are looking at it that way, not you have to do this and then you'll be happy and then you'll go to heaven. That's where there's a little problem.
Just a little problem.
So there are several hundred versions of the Bible and thousands of translations. And they're sometimes altered, like you said, to fit cultural or political agendas.
Yes.
Can you share how certain translations have been used to uphold harmful systems and why that still matters today?
Ooh, yeah. I think a huge one is really important to know is the King James version of the Bible, because it is the most widely known. And so many denominations still claim that that is the only true version. And so they're going word for word verbatim, believing that this is the word of God. And it is really harmful. So King James the first, and think back to, have you ever heard of Queen Elizabeth of England, and then the Bloody Mary movement, things like that. So his mother was Mary Queen of Scots. So it was in the whole essential like takeover of Scotland and England, things like it was in that whole messy era in the Middle Ages. And so
lots of beheadings.
Yes. So his mother, Mary Queen of Scots, was eventually, and they were cousins, I believe, Queen Elizabeth and his mom. So eventually she's beheaded by Queen Elizabeth. Now, think of him as a little boy and having his mother beheaded by a woman. That's torturous. And you're already being raised in the Christian faith of what it was in the Middle Ages, which is when it was the worst. And it was very, very against women. It was, that's when the demonology, all these things about demons and being possessed and witches and things like that. So like these ideas were being embedded into his head. And the church definitely ran with that with him. And so he ended up on I believe he was on a ship and it almost sank. He almost died. And somehow he had this belief that it was because of witches. And so he survived this whole shipwreck and wrote a book called Demonology. And in that, it was essentially how to find and kill a witch. It was terrible. But he also was a part of rewriting the Bible. He essentially like put his stamp, his name on a whole new version of the Bible, which he placed verses in the Bible that weren't even there before. Things like one should not suffer being around a witch, things like that. That's not word for word, but it really created the movement of the witch hunts. And as we know, there were hundreds of thousands, if not millions, women killed, and not because they were sorceress or evil sorcerers. It's because they were women standing up against the empire, against the church. Some of the women were ones that were just educated and could actually read the Bible. Some of them were women who lost their husbands and they were living alone and they owned the property and they just wanted that property. So she was killed. It was basically any woman that wasn't falling in line with whatever the empire wanted her to do. So the stories were twisted. And even now to this day, we still hear the stories of this, quote unquote, archetype of a witch. But we see so many women now recognizing what witch really is and reclaiming that word in a different context of being a woman in total control of herself, in being connected to her own source, in having a voice that speaks and doesn't cower and submit under something that is trying to harm people. So you see it also in things like the slave Bible. If you go back to the times when colonization happening in the United States, and also when they were taking over in the Caribbean, there was an actual Bible that was printed that was called, I can't remember the exact title, but we know it now. Even if you were to search online and call it the Slave Bible, it would come up. But it was tweaked specifically for slaves. So they got all of the books of the Bible that talked about how you are supposed to submit to your masters and fear your masters and treat your masters as they were Christ themselves. But all the books of the Bible that had anything to do with like, let my people go when they were getting the slaves out of Egypt and things like that, all of that was taken out. So anything that would empower their voices, and you see this with women too. You see the story of Mary Magdalene completely twisted and taken out of the Bible. You see the story of Eve completely twisted in the Bible. You don't even see Lilith in the Bible at all. Anything that holds a mirror up for women to show us our power and our wholeness is completely removed. And they did the same thing for anybody that is non-white. So it is, the Bible, to put so much power in a book that is thousands of years old, that was used to control people and actually harm people, you have to ask, who's it benefiting? Because it's harmful. And to consistently use that to validate decisions that are being made, specifically in the government right now, it's worth questioning.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that, because
I know
you word it so well. And it is so, it's so disgusting. I'm just so thankful for conversations like this, that we can actually start to talk about it openly and question it without fear of persecution.
Yes. I mean, because that's the narrative, is don't question it. If you question it, you're losing your faith. If you question it, you're a bad Christian. Those were the things that we heard sometimes growing up, even if it wasn't directly from like our parents' mouth, like even just the church in general. You hear these narratives and you think, okay, I don't want to go to hell, first of all, and I don't want to be separated from my parents when Jesus comes back and, it's the end times. You fall in line. You end up policing yourself. So you're like, okay, I'm not going to question these things. I might have all these questions stewing inside of me, but if I ask them, that might make me a sinner. That might make me bad. So there's no way I'm going to bring this up. There's no way I'm going to question authority. But we're in this age now where you have to question authority. You have to question authority. And that's why, even though it's really hard, but bringing it back to being a parent, when my kids like say no to me or they fight, whatever, even like on the way to school, I don't want to go to school. I'm like, I get it. Like, I'm not going to shut them down, because I know that they have powerful voices that are going to continuously be needed. We're not going to be able to change this on our own, millennials. We need the next and the next generations. This is going to take eras of dismantling what has been built. So they need voices to not be shut down. If you have children that say no to you, I'm giving you like props right now. Yay. Keep going.
I have a very opinionated, defiant, whatever you want to call it. Like, I have a very strong daughter.
Resistant.
And yes. And it was, I think there was one time where she was at karate and the sensei was like, okay, oldest is going to show you guys the older kids are going to show you how to do this. And my daughter goes, why do you always pick the older kids? And he goes, well, they know more. And she goes, they don't always.
Ooh, I'm like, girl. Oh my God.
Yes.
I love her.
I'm like silently like applauding her in the back. Like,
that's amazing. Like, that's my kid.
Fantastic. That's fantastic.
They don't always.
Crystal, why do you think scripture is so often weaponized against women, their bodies, their autonomy, their submission?
Because we have a very, how do I want to say this? This is a big question that I feel like is really important and really deeply in my work is bringing the wisdom back into the body rather than outside of you. Women's bodies are the original wisdom keepers. We are the original calendars. We are the original keepers of the cycles of transformation, of death and rebirth. And when they needed to disconnect a whole people's from their source, that meant disconnecting the women from their bodies. Because when you remember that you are your ultimate authority, you know discernment, and there is a natural voice that comes through women, especially those who bleed, who are going through their menstrual cycles. I call the luteal phase, which growing up I was taught was PMS.
Yep.
Yeah.
Premenstrual syndrome. Like it's a
Yes.
fucking
Like
disorder.
It's a disease. Yes.
I actually heard somebody called it was like my friend's dad or something, because it was like they had like 3 girls, and when they were all menstruating, he called PMS pretty mad sisters.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That one stuck with me.
God.
It is my truth serum phase. It's right before you bleed. And so it is that part where the rage comes through you. You can feel the misalignment in society, in the people around you, and where your boundaries are being crossed. And so in ancient times, women were revered as the truth tellers. They are the ones that would bring prophecy. When they would bleed, they're so connected to source, their source within themselves. They would actually bring out this wisdom. And so when empire needed more control over peoples, they had to separate that wisdom. They had to essentially exterminate it, eliminate it, take it away. And yes, it took time. It took a lot of fear, control, because even throughout history, throughout the Middle Ages, even now, there are still women who have been passed down this wisdom generation to generation, specifically indigenous cultures. They need to be centered right now, because their culture still has so much wisdom that has been stripped from so many of the cultures, especially Caucasian people who have for the longest time been colonized. We colonized ourselves, essentially, but or that wisdom has been buried, but it's not dead, and it's coming through us, and it's coming through women. Specifically, I'm not saying men are not feeling this, but it comes through us so naturally because it is primal. It's a primal wisdom that comes through us. And so that is deeply ingrained in my work. It is in every rite in my 13 Sacred Rites Mystery School. It is bringing you back this wisdom. So it's pulling back the veil on the lies that we're told to cover up the truth. And then it's putting the truth back where it belongs. And a lot of that is within our womb space. It's in our voice. We've been suppressed for thousands of years. It's hard to say that like we can just come out and know our true power, but I know that we have so much untapped potential in our bodies. It is our natural compass. It is our antenna to the truth. And we have this watery, because we haven't been separated from our emotions. It's almost like you can't fully separate a woman from her emotions because of our menstrual cycle. Maybe that's a part of it. Right. But we have still a deep connection to our emotional waters that maybe makes us more intuitive still. We're the ones that are being called up to reclaim things like witch, psychic, intuitive, mystic. And that's why wisdom of Mary Magdalene is coming through us. This feminine wisdom is really coming up to say, like, we need to put the feminine back on her throne right next to it. This isn't about overthrowing and like tipping the scales. Right. It is bringing balance back, because that wisdom being suppressed has separated our head and our heart. It's separated us as humanity. It's separated us from our mother, the earth. There's so much wisdom coming up now that it lives in our bodies. And so the more that you can connect with your body, you can trust yourself. You have discernment to know what is right and wrong rather than being told by something outside of you.
I am rocking back and forth so hard right now because you got my energy going. I'm like, yeah, girl. Yes, Crystal.
I'm like, did I even answer the question?
No,
I don't
you
even
totally
remember.
did. You
Remember
totally
what it was.
did.
You did.
Okay, good.
So you also previously sort of touched on this, but we know that throughout history, many writings by women and even references to women in the Bible were left out of the canon, the official collection of books that were chosen to be part of the Bible. For example, there's texts like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene that paint a very different picture of women's role in Christianity, like female leadership. So what do you think that we've lost by excluding these voices from the scripture? And what would be different if they were included?
Oh, wow. That's a weighted question. So I think that they were obviously excluded because if you are allowing the feminine, the priestesses to still be a part of the narrative, then that is dismantling the patriarchy.
Yep.
If they had allowed that to be maintained, if you were to put the Gospel of Mary, even in the fragments, and I'm not claiming that she wrote them. It was written centuries after her life even existed, but they were teachings passed down that were stated by her. It is her story. And even if it's just fragments, even just those fragments dismantle specifically many claims made in the Bible. Yeah. And so it was a direct opposite to their narrative. So even stating that Yeshua verbatim said there's no such thing as sin. What sin actually is being separated from your natural essence, from your soul, from your truth. And that's what the empire essentially wants to do. So you have to bury that. And if that book were included in the Bible, I think that it would have been a mirror for a lot of girls, a lot of women growing up throughout the years. I think that it would give us... Here's what I believe, and this is kind of going to go off on a little bit of a metaphor here. I believe what God is meant to be towards us, the way that we put it into an image, is it's a mirror. And so when God is painted as a man in the sky, making commands, deciding what's right and wrong, we are taught to worship an authority figure that is a man. Now, when you take away any imagery or story that has anything to do with a woman also being somebody who has authority, who has a voice, who is allowed to be revered and honored, that gives us permission to have that, to see that within ourselves. A lot of times I have noticed that things don't even wake up inside of me until I see somebody else doing it. Absolutely. Like sometimes words can't even form about a concept that I feel until I hear somebody say it and I resonate and I go, you said something that I so resonated with. And now I can put words to a feeling that I've had. And so those mirrors are so important. And to have those mirrors not existent in a belief system that has essentially been running a lot of the world. I mean, even the fact that we're in year 2025, that was designed around Christianity. Yeah. So even other religions are essentially very influenced by the Christianity that was created during the Roman Empire times. And it's built in a way to control the masses. And we have been controlled for thousands of years, and women have been suppressed because I truly believe that we have wisdom in our bodies that is trying to come out right now, because we are essentially supposed to be free. We're supposed to be sovereign. We're supposed to have freedom of choice. We're supposed to have freedom of will, but we don't. And we do, but we don't, if that makes any sense.
Yes,
so
it does. To us, it does. Maybe not all the guys out there, but it definitely does. Yeah. Crystal, I hope that you can be the present day Constantine to our society today in a good way, like have that much influence over centuries ahead of you that
oh my gosh,
we can start to shift this narrative, because what you're saying it's so powerful and it rings so true. Recently, like you said, Crystal, you don't really realize it until you see it in someone else. I was recently called out by a Gen Z. Thank you so much. I was in a meeting and I said something like, "Hey guys," and this girl sitting next to me goes, "Why do we always say guys?" There's no,
That's a good
there's
question.
not a guy at this table. We are all women. Come on. What the hell? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're so right.
That's seriously, I say it all the time. It's like it's a habit. It's like, what else do I say? I don't even know. What do I say? Okay, maybe I'll just be like, hey, everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like even saying, hey, ladies feels demeaning.
I also say that because I didn't want to say that in the meeting. I didn't want to say, hey, ladies.
Why does that feel demeaning? That's weird.
Because that's what we've been ingrained to think of ourselves. Like women are inferior and ladies, not even women. You say ladies. It makes it so
ladies. Yeah. Even if you look in the Bible, when they're addressing humanity, they always say of man. Like women aren't even in humanity in the Bible.
That's insane.
We're not real, guys.
We're not real. Do not exist. Nope. Except for we have created 8 billion people on the planet. So we have done something. There's this anger, I feel like, that is also waking up alongside of this truth, this anger of like, burn it down. Burn it down.
Yeah.
Because it definitely has not harmed just women. And I believe that women that are specifically born into the systems, like myself and y'all, there is a different kind of wisdom that we carry because being born within the system, we know it inside and out. And so there's a way that we can communicate it from being on the inside because it almost doesn't then feel like we're not attacking it. We're almost saying, no, I freed myself from these fears of hell and that I am lesser than and that my body is a problem. I have freed myself from them. So I know what it's like to be on the other side. I know what it's like to be abused mentally, emotionally by this system. And so this fire comes up inside of you wanting to be like, but I just need to say it out loud, get it out of my body. And if you can do that in a way that is on a scale that other people can hear it, that's when, live it out loud. And that is exactly what you guys are doing. You all are doing. Jesus. See, it happens without even trying.
You guys.
It's okay.
We need to come up with another empowering word that we can use.
Actually, y'all works.
Yeah.
Y'all. I'll just pretend I'm Southern.
I've got a good question for you, Crystal. For our listener who may feel guilty or even scared about questioning their faith right now, what reassurance or encouragement would you give them?
That's normal. That's very normal. It is a process that is grueling because your very foundation that has felt like safety, even though it's not really truly safe. And it does, your nervous system has grown accustomed to feeling that as comfort. And so give yourself a lot of grace in the process of allowing yourself to ask these questions. It's very powerful and it's very liberating and it's so worth it. So keep going. Get yourself in spaces that, honor your voice, that honor your intuition, that honor your questions. Get yourself in spaces that are deconstructing possibly, but allow yourself to trust your body. And my first tip always with trusting your body and listening to your body is feel how your stomach tenses or relaxes. When you hear something, when you're around somebody, your womb speaks to you. And so it will tense up when you're feeling unsafe, or it will relax when you're feeling like this is a safe space. Just keep going. Allow yourself to question everything, but take it in stride. And there are going to be people who don't quite understand why. And what's really hard is when they're in your very family, because it hurts to feel like what you're doing feels like you're abandoning sometimes what your family culture maybe was, and it's hard. But when you do allow yourself to step out of the box and see things in a different light, there's a part of you that's allowed to come alive that hasn't been allowed to take up space your entire life. And there's nothing that can compare to that feeling. It's very empowering.
That's so true. As you're talking, I was thinking about what has helped me to also start to feel comfortable asking these questions of my faith. And honestly, I found it interesting to talk to people that were not in just enveloped in Christianity that didn't have a religion growing up. They didn't have that because what's fascinating is they are comfortable asking those questions because they see it. It's in our society all the time. So they ask, wait, why do you think that? And when they ask those questions, they don't have guilt or shame attached to it. But they do ask these questions because they tend to still be oppressed by Christianity, even if they aren't Christian. And so typically the oppressed knows their oppressor even better than they know themselves. So that's why I'm like, I'm going to talk to somebody that's not in Christianity, that's been oppressed by Christianity, because they know what is happening. And it's easier. They can peel it back. They can peel back the layers a little bit easier than we can because we're so kind of we've got a fog still. I do.
Yeah. No, it's true. I sometimes call it like Christian coma because there is such a sleeping net. Like I don't know. It's sometimes you can't even see anything until all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I see it. Like it makes sense now. Things will like start clicking into place. And then you have this feeling of like something like comes alive inside of you, a part that was like dormant for so long. It really is a crazy experience. Another thing I do want to point out that was really hard for me is in the process of learning to trust myself. I felt like I needed to have all the answers for when anybody would try to debunk my beliefs or my questions or ask me like, why do you believe that? Or there was even instances where my brother, like, I love him so much. He's such a critical thinker that he's like, why crystals? Cause I love crystals, but he's like, he doesn't quite understand like the energetic side of things sometimes. And like the way that our mind works, connecting with tools and things like that. And he asked, do you think it really helps people? And I said, does it matter?
Right.
And because I'm like, does it matter? If it helps them, it helps them. If it doesn't, cool. And he's like, I guess not. And so it's not like you don't go into any conversation feeling like you have to prove anything because you don't. You don't have to prove. And I think that's another thing that we're raised within religion, within any religion, is we're taught to always defend our belief system. It's almost like we're raised as soldiers to defend this belief system.
Oh, what was that song? We're an army
of
children. Oh my God. That was like a Christian song, right?
It was.
That was.
Yes,
Literally soldiers.
Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot about that
like
one.
marching. Something march in the infantry, ride in the cavalry, shoot the artillery. Holy shit, the programming. I mean, come on.
Okay, sorry to cut you off.
No, I don't remember what I was saying, but it's really, we're raised as these soldiers to defend this system. And that gets ingrained in us to constantly feel like we have to defend our belief system. And truly, I'm to the point now I don't feel like I need to defend anything anymore. It's more like, hey, if you want to resonate and vibe with me, cool, let's talk about it. But if you're not there, if that's not your vibe, that's totally cool. Like, I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you an explanation for what I believe and why I believe it. If you're genuinely coming to me with a question that you're open to the answer, awesome, let's have a conversation. If you're coming to me because I can tell you're already on the defense, no thanks.
Yeah. And that's such a better attitude to have than defending something you don't even know why you're defending it. You're just taught that's what I need to do.
Yeah. And you're always taught, even in the concept of always put God first, put God and others above yourself. You're always last. You're always last. And that,
I know. I can visualize the triangle.
There was this song that was like, Jesus, others, and you. What a wonderful way to spell joy. And J is for Jesus, you put in first place. O is for others, you meet face to face. Y is for you, and whatever you do, put yourself third and spell joy. And like there was this whole like dance and like thing that you would do with it. It's so programmed. It's just program. When your brain is not developed and you're being programmed with these things. Oh, such a great documentary to actually watch is called Keep Sweet and obey. Keep sweet, pray and obey. I can't remember. It's on Netflix, and it's the whole story about Warren Jeffs and his fundamentalist Mormon.
I'll find the title and I'll put it in our show notes because I think that's a good one.
It is such a good example of how extreme it can get to how you can easily program a whole group of people if you're starting from birth. It's pretty scary, but it's eye-opening. And so I think that that's why, like, even going back to what I said in the beginning, I think that's why it is so important right now to rebel in the sense of healing. Heal yourself, connect with yourself. You have so much wisdom within you. You have a compass inside of you, and that's where the truth lives. It's not outside of you.
I could talk to you for hours, Crystal,
right?
Seriously, but I do have one last question for you because I think it's also important to understand that there are still people that still want to identify with Christianity, still want to be Christians, but they also struggle with these questions. So they do believe in God, they do believe in Jesus, but if you could rewrite one core message for Christianity for today's generation, what would it be? Sorry to put you on the spot right now.
Wow. No, that is so good. That is so good. You know how I was just talking about reclaiming the word witch? Like, create a movement that reclaims the word Christian. I think that is absolutely needed. Take it back. Take your power back. If you feel called to this, if you feel called to the actual teachings of Yeshua, do your research, first of all.
Yes.
Do your research to find out what the actual teachings of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene is. She deserves a seat at that table if you're taking back Christianity because she was a part of the original.
Praise Mary. Yes.
Praise Mary. But truly take that turn back. If that is your calling, definitely do it. But really place you, that self, that kingdom of heaven is within you message, the God is within you message, because that truly was Yeshua's message, not to follow empire, not to follow suit, not to obey. That was his message. That was his core teachings, is that you have power, take it back. And as long as you are using it for love, taking care of thy neighbor, taking care of those that need food, people who are suffering, help them.
Yes.
That is not being modeled to us in our government. But yet they wave flags and crosses and the Bible everywhere. It's putting a really bad name to Jesus, to Yeshua. So claiming that again, like get some bracelets that say like WWYD instead of WWJD. I don't know, start a movement, do it. Yeah. And it needs to be inclusive, like literally. There are a lot of progressive churches out there that I think are starting a really important movement that are speaking out against a lot of, and speaking truth of how the Bible was created, who are very inclusive to LGBTQIA, who are centering women, which is originally where we were the priestesses. It is, it's an important movement that I think that if you're called to it, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Love your neighbor regardless of borders. Like neighbor is a neighbor. The lines in the sand don't matter. Okay, Crystal, I know I already said that was the last question, but I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
Is there anything that our listener can do to help forward your mission?
I think feeling like my mission is creating a ripple effect, is feeling like the ripple is spreading from those who have come in contact with my ripple, if that even makes any sense.
Yes.
So if anything that came alive inside of you today, if anything was put into words, a feeling that you've had, anything like that, don't let it just stop there. Let it keep rippling out. I'm not saying put pressure on you to go share things, but when you feel that coming up inside of you, when you feel yourself wanting to ask questions or even speak out against anything that is happening right in front of you, be an ally, be a strong voice in your community, stand up against any discrimination. It is so needed right now. Speak up, trust yourself, do what you can to build that muscle of self-trust. I think that is massively important right now because we are told to not trust ourselves. And so I think naturally what happens is when you build that muscle of intuition and self-trust, it's going to naturally unfold. I feel like down the line, you end up clearing your throat chakra. You have more empowerment inside of you. And it's almost like you can't help it, and you have to say something.
We could not agree more. Obviously, our podcast name is Trust Yourself, and we're all about following your intuition.
Yes.
It's so important to us. Yeah. So if you feel that ripple and you want to keep feeling it and you want more of Crystal's energy, please contact her and join the 13 Rights. Is it a course?
13 Sacred Rights Mystery School. So it's a self-led course.
Okay, yes.
There's 13 separate rights. You walk them on your own. But it is essentially for spiritual sovereignty and liberation at the end. But there's a lot of historical context in there that really helps peel back the veil from the lies that we were told, and brings in actual ancient history, pointing out the truth of where women have a seat at the table. But yeah,
I feel so much love inside of me right now. I love it. Crystal, this was so lovely. Thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, because Lord knows, Mary knows, our intuition knows that we need this right now more than ever. Our world needs this right now.
Yeah.
So
thank you, Crystal.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Ooh, girl, I feel like my entire childhood and adult life has just been validated in that last hour conversation. What about you?
Yeah, there was definitely some mind-blowing moments there that
gosh.
Yeah, she's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. It's just so liberating to finally feel free to ask these questions. I know I could have asked them anytime, but it's hard.
Yeah. To me, honestly, the word God is kind of triggering for me because I just have this like, I don't like it. I never liked that it was a man. I never felt comfortable with being like, why is this one person that we're supposed to worship? So
powerful.
I think, I think for me, like, even as a young kid, I just dismissed religion in general, even though I was a pastor's kid and I was going to church.
You dismissed authority, I feel like. And God to you was authoritarian. So,
Okay, that's true.
Well, I could go on and on and on, but this is going to be long, I'm sure. So let's just get to the tarot for the week, Heidi.
So Sissy, when you left and Crystal and I were still talking, I was doing kind of like a mediumship / body scan reading for her. And it was so fun to tap into her energy and just see like all these beautiful bits of her. Her energy's so fucking beautiful, guys. Also, she's doing a retreat in Costa Rica next year in 2026.
Damn, I want to go.
And I said out loud, I told her, she didn't tell me anything about this, but I was like, I see you doing a retreat and I see there's like 20 women there. And she was like, shut up. I'm doing a retreat in Costa Rica. There's 9 people signed up right now. And I am capping it at 22. Or I'm capping it at 20. And I was like, well, it's full. Like, it is done. Like,
that's
I already
amazing.
can see it. And then,
okay, guys, if you're listening and you're signing up, wait for me to sign up first. I want a spot. No, I'm kidding.
I told her, I was like, Sissy's definitely going to sign up for this. There it is. Oh, so we get the seal. Intuition. You guys,
yes.
I cannot.
Honestly, just follow your intuition with your faith.
That was the core. That was the core of the message.
Gosh, I still can't get over, like, I'm holding back tears, you guys. So if this resonated with you, or you know somebody that this may actually resonate with, or this will help in any way, please share it. Please share, please send it. We would love to send out the ripples, if you will.
Yeah. Let's create that ripple effect. Seriously.
All right. Well, until next time, it's your move, sis.
Make it count.
Bye. Praise Mary.
Praise Mary.